trouble in some way and come up with solutions and help them better themselves in their lives.
I got happy. Something clicked inside of me because it gave me a bunch of options.
A number of people are having real problems with money and debt and the ability to pay their bills, their mortgage, their car payments, and they're getting phone calls and letters. And they're already in a stressful situation, and the nagging doesn't help. So many times this happens through no fault of their own. They lose their job, the business they worked for went out of business, or you can't work because of an injury or an illness. And yes, sometimes people make bad decisions and get themselves into trouble. So we're hearing a lot about bankruptcies, and sometimes that may seem like the only solution, but my guest today doesn't think so. In fact, he discourages it. And what's more interesting is he's a bankruptcy attorney. My guest today is Reed Allmand, at Allmand Law Firm in Dallas, Texas, and Reed says he's on a personal mission to turn the downward economy into an upward trend. Reed has been a leading bankruptcy attorney in the Dallas area for the last decade and has been covered in the Los Angeles Times, Fox News, and CBS and more. Reed, I could go on with your bio, but let's get started.
Yeah, I'm kind of enjoying this, but thank you very much. Too kind.
It's nice to hear about yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know, one question I want to ask you, Reed, is, there are so many different areas of law to practice. I was wondering how you got started and what motivated you to practice bankruptcy law.
Well, I didn't foresee that I would end up doing bankruptcy law, but I did know when I was in school, I went to Abilene Christian to get my accounting and finance degree. And I knew that I wanted to go into law, and then when I went to law school, I have the personality to do transactional work, and bankruptcy is a transactional profession of the law.
Can you explain that a little bit by what you mean by transactional?
Sure. Transactional is form-driven. We have bankruptcy schedules, we have income, we have assets and debts. It's very similar to what an accountant does when they're preparing financial statements.
Okay.
I also knew that I wanted to do something in the law where I felt like I could make a difference, where I could give back, and I could help people who are in trouble in some way and come up with solutions and help them better themselves in their lives.
Okay. Very good. And was there anything that motivated you personally, or?
When I got into this area of law and I started meeting with people, I probably had some of the preconceptions about bankruptcy that other people have. But when you get into this and you start interviewing and you start meeting these people who are having these real-life problems, you can't help but relate to the struggles, and you realize that nobody wants to file bankruptcy, but something has happened. And in my own personal life growing up, we did have some times where money was tight. Mm-hmm. My parents, got divorced when I was about 12 years old, and my mom was an elementary school teacher, and so we were living with a single-family household where she was paying the bills, and I remember feeling that stress as a child of, is somebody out looking for our car? Are we going to lose our house?
Right.
We actually did have to transfer our house over to my uncle and move into an apartment. So when I see these single-parent households coming in here and these people with these situations, I can really relate to the struggles of what it feels like to have to leave the house that you grew up in and to be fearful about money.
I was going through a divorce and had 2 kids I had to take care of and couldn't afford to pay my bills.
Well, I had ran out of money, and I was losing everything in my restaurant. And I wanted to save my equipment, and they wouldn't allow me to. So I had to do something quickly.
There was no way to resolve or dig my way out of this. I was too far under due to recent injuries. I'm not working. There was just no way. There was no other option than to come to y'all and ask for help.
In all honesty, it was all of the debt that we had. We had about 100,000+ in debt. So we wanted to see what options we had available to us, because it just seems like every way we turned, there was no way to, get ahead. Like, we couldn't get caught up on anything. We were robbing Peter basically to pay Paul. So that's what made us consider looking into bankruptcy.
Tell me a little bit more. prior to our interview today, you had sent over some information, and one of the things you sent over was a mission statement. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Our mission here at Allmand and Lee is we want to help people, good people, through bad situations. Help good people through bad times. And what that means to me is there's so much shame, and people put themselves through the mill about not being able to make it work. Nobody wants to get a loan from somebody and then not be able to fulfill on those terms.
Right.
But when something outside the force happens, we want to assure people, just because you need help and you need some solutions to deal with your finances doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means you've had some bad things happen and you need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and do something about it.